Welcome back. All right, so some news of the day for your Monday. Just a quick little list here of news of the day. Alex Edler, in the most unsurprising announcement of the day, will have a hearing with NHL player safety today in regards to a suspension. So the suspension's incoming. If they were going to give some kind of a fine, they would have announced it, which means that for people who are wondering, well, what's going to happen with the Garnet Hathaway hit, it doesn't look like anything. The only thing announced by NHL player safety at the time I'm recording this is there's going to be a hearing for Edler. So anything else that happened yesterday, that's likely by the wayside. There won't be any fines or suspensions out of anything else that happened in yesterday's games. So we'll see. My guess is it'll be a few games for Edler. It is the kind of incident that it's not about intent in this one in my eyes. It's the injury, and it's just knee on knees. Like I said in yesterday's review, you can end someone's career with that kind of a hit. Zach Hyman is injured, and it's possible he's out for a while. So, yes, there does need to be a message from the NHL that this cannot be acceptable. Because again, like I said last night, that used to be a technique. That was one where you'd know, okay, I'm going to go out, I'm going to lock my knee. He won't know I'm there. I'll hit his knee, and it's probably it for him for tonight, and probably beyond that. Edler didn't do that. So I understand that, it was at the end of a long shift, 3 minutes he was on the ice, but the NHL has to make sure that they punish this one correctly, especially in light of the fact that they're going to play Toronto again in the next game. So you want Edler out of that one for sure, and then likely at least a couple of games beyond that, I would think. But yeah, we'll see what they do. Patrick Marleau. He is set to record a games played record tonight, so I'm wearing Sharks for that reason. And it's interesting because it's not easy to play that many games in the NHL. It's not easy to be healthy for that long. And not only that, but he's got the games played streak that he's on as well, which is in the 880 games in a row range, somewhere around that range. It is remarkable that somebody in his early 40s doesn't miss games. That means not only not being, injured and unable to play, but he's not a healthy scratch either. So, he's still playing over 13 minutes a game. It's been an impressive season again for him because speed's not a problem. So I can always tell when somebody doesn't really watch Marleau because they'll say, he's too slow, he needs to give it up. And that proves that that's a person that's not watching his game because, speed's not the problem. I could see when Marleau does decide to hang up his skates, I could see him being a guy who's brought in to help with conditioning with some of the young kids and other organizations, or San Jose keeping him around and that being part of his job with them. Because honestly, he's shown that he can keep himself in shape into his 40s. It's not easy. So yeah, once your metabolism does that, then it's fun. Spoiler alert for a lot of the youngins watching now. But anybody my age and older, you get it. So yeah, what Marleau's done has been remarkable. And then we can have the debate when his career is done about his claim to the Hall of Fame. And I do think he gets there. Max Domi. So I talked about him in the preview, so I jinxed it. He's a healthy scratch for tonight. And again, it's the latest situation in Columbus. But here's the thing. So we go through these situations with Columbus, and people will say, well, you see, that's Columbus. But, Domi, this isn't the first organization where he's played himself into the doghouse. I like Max Domi. Seems like a really nice guy. Got his book. Seems like a great guy. But I think he's still looking for that right fit in an organization. And I don't think Columbus is it. Montreal wasn't it either by the end of last season. And that's how hockey works sometimes. There are definitely players who go through their careers looking for that right fit. Sometimes they find it, sometimes they don't. That's the kind of video that I could do in the off season. I think will be actually quite enjoyable to look at careers where maybe a guy goes through 2 or 3 locations and then finds one and it just clicks. And that's the reason why with young players, teams don't really want to give up on a young guy who's struggling because they don't want to see him go somewhere else and then he just blows up and he's fantastic. Think like with Carter Verhaeghe in Florida. So while Tampa might be happy for Verhaeghe, there's somebody somewhere thinking, if we could have found a way to keep him. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Domi from here, but him being a healthy scratch is about sending a message, and we'll see how that goes. It's fascinating. Alexander Holtz has signed his entry-level contract. So once again, first-round draft picks. I'll report on them signing their entry-level contracts. And in Holtz's case, his goal-scoring ability, I think New Jersey fans are going to like him a lot. And so if he's going to come over and play next season, that'll help their attack. They definitely need that. If you watch the 4-game sweep against the New York Rangers, a big difference maker in that 4-game set is that explosive skill that the Rangers have that the Devils at this point don't have. But guys like Holtz coming over, that'll help. And the further development of a guy like Jack Hughes, that will help as well. So for New Jersey, it'll be interesting to see how he does, again, should he make the team out of camp next year. So the draft, and I haven't been doing draft videos yet, even though we're up to April 19th, because there really isn't the amount of information yet regarding this year's draft class that I had available to me last year. So I'm basically waiting on a couple of the sites that I belong to for there to be more information there, and then I can start doing draft videos. Now, 10 out of 10 scouts asked by TSN, an article on Bob McKenzie's on the TSN website. 10 out of 10 scouts have Owen Power as the number 1 pick in this year's draft. But he's not a home run. Like it's not a case where it's his draft. It's not that he's head and shoulders above everybody else. The top 4 are seen as being pretty good, and it could go in any order of those top 4. But what's interesting with Power, of course, is he's a defenseman. He's mobile. He's a very good skater. He's 6'5" and a half and 213 pounds. So while he's not seen as being an elite point-scoring defenseman at the NHL level, he's seen as being a big, mobile defenseman who could probably eat a ton of minutes. So it's tough to pass on that when you're at the draft table, because that kind of a defenseman with that combination of talents, they're not usually available via draft, or via trade, I should say, or via free agency. So Owen Power, I would say it's 50-50 that he ends up being the number 1 pick. It really depends on who's picking first overall. And yeah, just that 6'5" and a half, great skater, good first pass, these things that you look for in a defenseman, and he's got all that in spades. April 26th to May 8th, the Under-18 World Championships taking place in Texas. Fingers crossed on that tournament all comes together and it works out really well, because scouts have not had the opportunity to see the prospects this year like they would in a regular year. So this tournament will hold a lot more importance than it normally would in terms of where players might get drafted. I mean, we had the World Juniors, of course, before this season got started in the NHL, but there's not a ton of guys who were in this draft class that were at that World Juniors, as compared to what we're going to see at this Under-18 World Championship. So there's going to be more importance put on that than normal, and this is where I feel for these kids in this draft class, because that's a very limited time to go, okay, now show the NHL what you can do. You had a rough game, now you go from being a first rounder to being a third rounder. And again, we're going to have 32 teams that have 32 different draft orders. It's going to be insane. But I'll be here to report on it when that takes place. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.